Our story starts off in the year 2050, where the Earth was hit by a supernova explosion 500,000 light-years away, causing the Earth to enter an ice age era. It caused the daily temperature in High City to be negative 60 to 70 degrees. In the apocalypse, the girl he liked broke into his house with a group of neighbors and stole all his food. Not only that, they murdered him and took his body parts as food too. She admits to tricking him into opening the door. On his deathbed, he swore to get his revenge 100-fold. Suddenly, he woke up questioning if he didn't just get killed. He grabs his phone to check the time and notices that it's November 12th, a month before the global freeze. He swears to not be a sucker for the girl anymore and vows to get his revenge on his bastard neighbors. There's only 1 month before the apocalypse arrives. His main priority is to stock up on food, weapons, and to build a safe house. He ponders on how he's going to start his plan. A bright light passes through his eyes, and instead of blindness, he discovers that he can send things to a different dimension, like an inventory. His plan is to suck up an entire supermarket of food so he never has to worry about food and drinks for years. Thinking about all the good food he won't be able to eat during the global freeze, Yoongi decides to go to a fancy restaurant and orders everything on the menu. He spends 50,000 Korean won and puts it all on his credit card because, in 1 month, all his problems will be over. The girl, Fang Yuqing, whom he had been in love with for years and never got anywhere with, and the girl who betrayed him in his last life, along with her bestie, see that he went to a luxury restaurant. Her friend says she's lucky, because this loser does everything for her, and he must be rich now. Fang Yuqing, in his last life, pretended to be innocent and original, and in the end, stole everything he had, even your goddamn arms. She's just a bitch who wants to make soup with my ribs. He flashes his bank card and says, "Do you want to go shopping at the supermarket?" The two girls, thinking they will get money, happily agree. They ask, "Why so much food?" and the protagonist says, "You never know when an apocalypse can happen, so it's good to be prepared." The two leeches complain that he's not carrying anything and that they're doing him a big favor. Now Jung-yi owes us a luxurious dinner like the one he had before. He laughs coldly, thinking about how he's going to execute his revenge. What the fuck is he looking at? Anyway, at the market exit, his Aunt Lin, with her grandson, says, "You can't eat all of that alone. Give some to your aunt." After saying this, the 5-year-old grandson steals his shopping cart. Young-yi takes it back. "Sorry, I'll eat it all by myself." The child starts throwing a tantrum, cursing at Jong-ai. "I'll punch your teeth out if you keep this up." The kid starts crying immediately. Lin asks what he's doing, an adult fighting with a child, and says she buy the chocolate and transfer the money later. He shows his QR code and says, "Not later. Now, pass it over now or go to the market to buy it." He leaves, leaving Lin angry. Arriving home, Feng Yuqing winked at him, and the two told him not to forget about them. "I slammed the door and those bastards' faces." After sending the two away, Zhang Yu put out the purchased food in the storage space to see if it spoils over time. He still has a lot to do, building an indestructible fortress with heating devices and medical supplies. It would also be great if he could get some weapons. There's only 1 month left until the Ice Age. By then, he has to sell everything he has as quickly as possible and get more. The next day, looking at the storage space, he checks the freshness of the food and discovers that living creatures cannot be stored, but the food remains as fresh as when he stored it. Knowing this, Jong-ai picked up his phone and contacted the best local restaurant, ordering 500 full meals for delivery. He explained that he would be hosting a 3-day, 3-night feast, so he needed so much food. His next step was to find his property deed and go to the bank to mortgage his apartment, considering that after the apocalypse, money would become worthless paper. Jung-yi decided to take out a loan with his apartment as collateral. In 1 month, he would make the payment for this loan. The manager warned that the interest rate would be a bit high, but upon hearing this, Jung-yi rubbed his hands together, indicating that it didn't matter if the interest rates were high. He got 4 million won and would pay 30 million won in 1 month, or lose his house and car. Next, he went to the best security company. The business manager approached and asked if he needed help. Jong-ai shared his idea of building a safe house for the apocalypse. The business manager presented various plans for the protagonist to choose from, but he was not satisfied with the ones presented. He declared that the house should be reinforced with aviation materials. The balcony should use bulletproof glass, in addition to adding an air filtration system and a 360 blind spot-free monitoring system. The front door should be made of the same material as bank vault doors. Additionally, he asked the manager to find a way to obtain some weapons. The business manager was surprised by these renovations and the need for weapons. He said he could get everything except the weapons. Zhang Yi concluded that this would turn the house into a fortress. The final plan cost 8 million won, and after paying the deposit, he asked them to start the work immediately. Next, he needed to obtain some weapons for self-defense. He called the owner of a hunting club and managed to get some crossbows as weapons. As soon as he returned home, the 500 full meals he had ordered also arrived on several trucks. This caught the attention of many people in the neighborhood, including that gold-digging bitch. As there were delivery trucks from a 5-star hotel, which would cost at least 1 million won or so. After some time, Zhang Yi's house was filled. Wasting no time, he put everything into storage space, ensuring he wouldn't need to worrying about food for years. The next day, the security company workers came to start building the safe house. This scene attracted the attention of many neighbors, who mocked Zhang Yi, asking if he had taken the wrong medication. However, he didn't care, because he believed that when the end came, they would find out who was the joke. Next, Zhang Yi went to the manager of the company where he works and bought a portion of the medical supplies, offering double the market price to have priority to buy everything, even what was already sold to other companies. Then he transported these things home little by little. His recent stockpiling activities also caught the attention of Fang, who asked if something was about to happen, mentioning that she had been thinking a lot about him recently. The protagonist didn't want to respond to Fang Yuqing's fake concern, leaving her angry. Zhang Yi, the suck-up who used to do everything she asked, suddenly started ignoring her. Her best friend simply laughed at the situation. She stated that if something big was happening, the country would definitely notify everyone else. All she has to do is win over the new vote and rich Zhang Yi so they can benefit. After weeks, the safe house was successfully installed with systems on every floor of the building. Zhang Yi was very pleased with the service. Now, only one last batch of supplies was about to arrive. Several trucks of drinking water arrived successfully. Next, he invited his colleagues for a drink. While they are drinking, our protagonist just waits quietly for something to happen. 2 hours later, they drop like flies. After turning off the surveillance cameras, it was his time to calmly steal the resources from the Walmart warehouse: fuel, food, and equipment. He quickly emptied the warehouse. One of the boxes caught his attention: cold resistance equipment that had recently been purchased by the company. They could withstand temperatures of -100. To complete his perfect plan, Zhang Yi also took a special sleeping tea and joined his colleagues. 2 hours later, he was awakened by his employees saying they were screwed. The warehouse was robbed. They took everything. Upon hearing this, he pretended to be surprised. How did all the warehouse products disappear? The manager called him, asking about the warehouse supplies, knowing that the entire warehouse was empty without leaving any clues, and even the cameras didn't see anything. The manager immediately accused the supervisor of planning this crime with more people. Zhang Yi, nervously smiling, said he's not confident enough for that. Everyone was taken to the police station to give statements, but nothing was found out. How could they find out that the warehouse was teleported? After the interrogation, the police officer said not to leave the city under any circumstances, as everyone is a suspect. Maliciously, Zhang Yi said he won't even leave the house. This incident on December 10th made news in the city. No one could believe that tons of supplies disappeared without a trace in less than 3 hours. It was also on this day that heavy snowfall began in the sky. He knew this was the beginning of the cold apocalypse. 2 days later, at home, when the shockwave from a supernova explosion brought catastrophe to the entire planet, the temperature started dropping rapidly overnight. Looking at the heavy snow through the window, Zhang Yi said that this time the story would be different. The people in the apartment owners group were nervous, as it was the first time they had seen so much snow in the city. Observing everything in the building group, Zhang Yi knew that for many people, This was the first and also the last time they saw snow. In his past life, the heavy snowstorm lasted for 3 whole months, and the temperature kept dropping, causing many people who had not stocked up on food beforehand to freeze to death. Anyway guys, that's the end of the vid. Please leave a like, subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified of when I post. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Bye, see you in the next vid.